So let's get this show on the road. We are, of course, going to be talking about objection handling, and we're going to, as the class I call it, stump the coach. Because what I want you guys to do as I'm getting the audience to build up, the purpose of this class is to just simply become stronger and better when it comes time to objection handling. So I don't know if some of you guys actually have any challenges with any objections, which I know a lot of people unfortunately do. So as people are joining us, of course, I'm going to ask of you that are over on Facebook, those of you guys that are over on Instagram, please come join us over on Zoom. All the information is there. It allows us the opportunity, of course, to be a little bit more interactive so that we can break down these objections. There's one thing that I do take tremendous pride in, and that is, basically working on my skills and my craft, the language of sales, for an extended period of time. So if you guys are over on Facebook, if you guys are over on Instagram, I'm going to encourage you guys to all come and join me over on Zoom. The information is there. So come join us. I'm going to go ahead and break down a little bit of how to overcome objections. And of course, if you guys are having any issues, then let's break it down. All right. So if there's any questions, feel free to go ahead and type them in. I'm going to go ahead and address them. I'm going to give everybody some points. I'm just trying to pull up my notes. Yes, unfortunately, they did disappear on me as I opened it up, but bear with me. Almost there. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys want, of course, more information in regards to the scripts, I'm going to encourage you to send me a DM. I'll get the scripts over to you. All right, so an objection. What's an objection? Why do we go over this? Why is this important? An objection, we have to understand where it originates from, what it consists of. Why do we even get these objections? Objections are nothing more than simply unanswered questions. Okay, and these unanswered questions that people come up with is a couple of different reasons. Either we didn't cover it, we didn't go over it, we did not give them the confidence in the answer we gave them. So they give us, in most cases, that objection. So when we're out in presentation, a good percentage of the time before we even go to the presentation, listening presentation, these people have made up their mind. They've already made that decision. They're ready to go. They're going to go ahead and hire Robert as that go-to person to list my home. You're going to be the agent. You're going to help me buy the next one. Well, the largest percentage of the time, unfortunately, what people end up doing is the agents end up convincing people otherwise. And the reason why that ends up happening is we show up, we start talking about all kinds of everythings, but we don't address the issue at hand. And what are the issues? Well, each situation is going to be a little bit different. And then whenever we're giving them a response that isn't with what they want, that's where it starts to build up the negativity. So when we go and ask for the signature, they don't have that confidence. They don't have okay, Robert is that person. They started with it, but as I went through my presentation, I talked about me, I talked about how amazing my company is, I talked about everything but them. Now they start to have some hesitation. So it's really important that we go through a certain process, certain protocol when we are on topic. Of course, I'm talking about listing presentation, but when we're dealing with prospecting, whenever we're making calls, we have to be able to, on a fly, be able to answer these people's questions. Okay. And what I want you to do, well, let me back up. What I don't want you to do right now out the gate is work on the objection handlers. Okay. Why is that? Because the objection handlers, yeah, I said that correct. The objection handlers is learning the one response for that one question. Sure. I mean, you can work on it, and I'm not saying that they're bad. The only thing that I'm saying is that it is hard to memorize all that stuff. Going through 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 objection handlers. How many of you guys have them memorized? I don't, and I've been in the business for a long time. And the other thing too is that every single situation is going to bring about a different response. Also, subject to, who are you calling? Who are you going after? What doors are you knocking on? Who are you calling on the phone? Those are going to be different. When you're sitting there calling just listed, just sold, you're not going to get the bring me a buyer. That's more of a for sale by owner. That's more of an expired that may consider becoming a for sale by owner. So what I want you to do is I want you to understand the process behind this. And the process behind learning how to overcome objections is a couple things. So for those of you that joined this morning, I talked about writing down the objections. Okay, and again, for those of you that are over on Facebook, for those of you that are over on Instagram, I'm going to encourage you to come join me over on Zoom to make this a little bit more interactive. Okay, but if you have any questions, feel free to bring them in, and I'll go ahead and address them as they come. And this morning, what I talked about is I want you to start to write down, track the conversations you're having. This morning, you spoke to 10, 20, 30, 40 people. Those people gave one every single one of those people. But there are going to be some objections you're going to get along the line. We are thinking about selling, but you know what? We're going to wait until the summer. We're waiting until Donald Trump takes office, and we want to be able to see what his policies, how everything rolls out. We want to sell, however, we can't sell this year because if we sell in 2025, we're going to incur a tax penalty. We want to all of these everythings. I want you to write them down. Make sure you jot them down, put them in a position, or put yourself in a position as you are taking notes so that you can start to understand what objections you're getting most often. I'm going to give you guys a quick little tip as well. Okay. The majority of agents are only going to get 6 to 8 objections. I said that right. You're going to only get 6 to 8 objections. And that's going to be 80-90% of what it is that you need to work on. Not 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Why am I saying this? Because number one, depends on who you call. Number two, it depends on your communication style. And you have this natural tendency of curving people into the direction of these 6, 7, or 8 different objections. Pay attention to that. That's going to help you become a masterful objection handler. Because in that, you don't necessarily have to study all the other ones. You guys get that? If you don't, let me repeat it. Number one, I want you to track all the objections you're getting. You're going to notice that the majority, not 100%, but 80 to 90% of them are going to be the same 6, 7, or 8 objections. And of the 6, 7, or 8 objections, there's going to be 2, 3, or 4 of them that you're going to get constantly. And when you get these constantly, now I want you to work on them. Now I want you to be in a position where I'm working on the bring me a buyer. Okay, so when I go through and I'm role playing with somebody, when I'm role playing with Rajiv, I'm going to say, hey, buddy, give me this one. Bring me a buyer. And then I handle it. Boom. And then I go and role play with Oscar. Bring me a buyer. Boom. I handle it. Then I role play with Richard. Boom. I handle it. But what I'm also going to do is I'm going to listen to their response. I want to be able to hear with what it is that they say, because sometimes as I'm going through and I'm role playing and I'm like, Rajiv, that was okay. Nicole, ooh, I like that one. That one was good. Oscar, this guy's the man. I am going to work on that one. So now what you've done is you've become more masterful on the one of the 6, 7, or 8. And you keep working on it and you start to get better. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to be in a position where you are recording as much as you possibly can. Okay. How many of you have played sports before? Okay. Baseball, softball, basketball, football, doesn't matter. Any good coach of any sport is going to do some version of replay. This is very common, of course, in football. And what they basically do is they go back and they watch film. They go back and watch all of the things that the team did. And then they break it down by units. Okay. Football, as an example, they break down the linemen versus the linebackers versus the secondary. And what ends up happening is that on Monday, as they break it down, they say not only the units, hey, you guys missed coverage here, you guys missed coverage there, but now they break it down by the individual. I want you to do the exact same thing. When you're role playing, I want you to break down. I should have said this. I should have said that. Count the number of ums that you say. Ooh, goodness gracious. 23 ums? You will continue to refine, and further refine. This is going to help you become masterful when it comes time to objections. And I don't care if it's 1 or 2, perfect that. You're going to get another appointment 2, 5, or 10 by just simply working on the 1. Okay. And then you work on number 2. And then you work on number 3. And then you work on number 4. And then you create a hierarchy of everything that I'm talking about. And this hierarchy of everything that I'm talking about puts you in a position where you start to, boom, that one I get 20% of the time. That one I get 15% of the time. That one I get 10% of the time. Well, now you got 45% better because you worked on three objections. That is how you expedite the learning curve. Let me continue with my points. If you have questions, feel free to jump on in. Don't confuse an objection with a condition. Okay, I'm going to break the 2 of them down. Okay, some of you are hearing this for the very first time. Some of you are hearing me for the very first time, so thank you for joining. A condition is a matter of fact or statement that we can't overcome. It's a matter of fact or a statement that we can't overcome. Examples. Somebody is looking to make a move and sell their home and make a move over to Florida, but they can't until they get their new job transfer. No matter how great Robert is, I'm not going to convince them to sell their house right now and make the move to Florida if they don't even have a job there. Okay. Someone wants to buy a house, but they just got laid off on Friday and they don't have any money in reserves. Well, they can want a lot, but the condition is they don't have a job. They just found out that they're having twins in pregnancy, and the wife was just taken off of maternity leave early because it's a higher risk pregnancy. And the lender said, hey, we can get you qualified, but we got to make sure you get back to work before we can go ahead and approve that loan. Do you guys see these conditions? Now, I want you guys to understand this because it's also going to help you when it comes time to lead follow-up. And these conditions, what I call our conditional leads, is going to be determined subject to whatever that condition is. There are going to be some gray ones. Let me give you an example. Retirement. Most of you hear retirement and they go, oh, they're not ready. Well, Robert's going to ask, can you retire early? Yeah, I can retire early. Is that something you're willing or wanting to do? Oh, no, I definitely don't want to do it now. Well, what would stop you from doing it? Well, if I retire now, I'm only give me a second. Got background noise. Thank you for that. So in that, the gray area is now, of course, that of the retirement. So then I ask further questions, and the further questions I'm asking is, can you retire now? I can, but I don't want to. Or what's the benefit of waiting out to retirement? There will be some times where I'll get somebody to sit there and say, well, if I wait until the end of next year, 2 years, I will get an extra 5% on my pension. Well, 5% on your pension, how much is that a month? Well, that's about $150 a month. So you're going to put in 2 more years for $150 a month, which basically is $1,800 over the course of the year. The average life expectancy, sorry, I'm not trying to kill you off before you actually even retire, is about 10 years. You're talking about $18,000 in order for you to get a 100% pension over the course of the next 2 years. If I can show you a financial benefit of doing it now versus waiting 2 years from now, and then that way you can enjoy your pina colada over in Cuba as you're wanting to do that this year, would you want to know about it? Well, how are you going to do that? That's exactly what we need to get together. All right. If you have any questions, feel free to just jump on in. If you're over on Instagram, Edward, yeah, looking forward to seeing you as well, buddy. So if you have any questions, if you're over on Instagram, if you're on Facebook, I'm going to encourage you to come join us over on Zoom. And that way it allows us, of course, a little bit more interaction. But if you have any questions, just chime in.
Hi, Robert. It's Rajiv.
Good.
Thank you for sharing the right, all the objection you get it. I think it will change my doing my business because I only do role play with the objection I get from, we have a 14-foot, but this is very good. Now, when I get objection, I will make I think, notepad for the objection. Thank you for sharing. That's very important.
Yeah, absolutely. You're welcome. And see, here's the thing is that a lot of times with what you just mentioned, Rashid, which I'm going to break of course, the objection part of that in just a second, is unfortunately agents try to master all of these objection handlers, and then they just simply attack one at a time here, one at a time there, when in reality, if you just focus on 2 or 3, you can actually better your business by 20-25% because those are the ones that you get a little bit more frequent. But you got to write it down. All of you guys have to write down what your objections are.
Yeah, Robert, one more question. Where can I find these recorded your videos? I'm with coaching with Ramona, but I want to listen. First time attending yours is so good. So can we find the old recording too, or?
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to go ahead and make sure you send me a DM. You can become
Okay.
a member of Top Realtor Training. Okay, so
Okay.
in Top Realtor Training is going to be over on Facebook. But if you send me a DM, I'll send you the link.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Absolutely. Okay. So objections. Now we talked about conditions. We talked about special conditions, the gray area conditions. Now let's talk about the objections. I'm going to give you guys all how to overcome a large percentage of these objections in just a little bit, okay, which I'm going to do. But you got to hang tight for a little bit. Now, in the objections that we get, going back to the original thought, is it is subject to the doubts we create in these people. And a large percentage of the time, it's at the presentation. So when we get an objection at the presentation, it's because we talked about, we brought it up, we confused them about the process, all of this other stuff. And a large percentage of you find yourself where you're over talking. You have to lead with questions. not statements. So when you're going through and you're presenting in any aspect, whether it's over the phone, knocking at doors, doing a listing presentation, you have to lead with questions. So you have to make sure you are question based. For those of you guys that have been here with me for an extended period of time, what questions do we ask? What are the questions start with? Good. I got to work on that, right? What, when, where, how, and if. Your questions are going to start with this. Question that was asked of me earlier today was, if I follow this person and I use those person's scripts, sure, that's fine. But if the scripts that you're using and or following, as most of you know that I'm a Mike Ferry coach, okay, but if you're using other scripts, that whatever, okay, that's on you. That's not my job. But if you're looking at the scripts and the questions are starting with will you, is it okay, do you mind, anything from that direction, throw those scripts in the trash. Sure, there'll be a question. There might be two, but we don't ask those questions because it leads to a yes or no response. You'll notice the largest percentage of the scripts that are written, they're going to be in that form. Who, what, when, where, why, how, and of course, if. When we're asking questions, always lead from that direction. That's going to help you avoid a lot of the objections. And even you can diffuse some of these objections by simply asking those questions. What's the benefit of making this move? Why is this move so important? Who in your family is most excited about making this move? If we could sell your home in the next 30 days, would that be a pro or would that be a con for you? How soon would you like me to order the moving truck for you? How soon would you like your first showing? When would you like to receive your closing check? At the end of the day, these questions ideally are going to be about them. Okay. So if you have any questions again, feel free to just chime on in. Okay. Now, let me give you guys all what I call as the universal close. So write this down. If you guys are in a position to write it down, great. If you're driving, well, don't write it down. Okay. The very first thing, we get an objection. The objection they give us, it does not matter with what it is. I don't care. We're just going to take it off the market. We're going to go back with a friend. We decided that we're going to wait until the interest rates drop. We're going to wait for the presidential change. We're waiting until next year. It doesn't matter. 99% of the time, they're going to be things that we don't actually like. And it doesn't matter of our opinion. What we're going to say is that is an option. Number one, write it down. That is an option. We're going to wait until the presidential elections. Yeah, you can wait until the presidential elections. That's an option. You're going to wait until Donald Trump takes office. That's definitely an option. Okay. We're going to wait until, the summer. We hear that it's actually a better market. Yeah, it's definitely an option. What we're doing is we're agreeing with them. That is an option. So this is handler number one. Number two, we're going to go ahead and ask them a question. What's the benefit of waiting until then? Whatever it is, we're going to ask them the question based on that. Number three is we're going to handle the objection. And the handling of the objection is going to be along the line of we're going to wait until basically summer. Well, yeah, that's definitely an option. What would be the benefit of waiting until summer? Well, we heard that the market is better. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I understand where you're coming from. There's the objection handler. What I want to do is I want to share with you the benefits of doing it now versus waiting until the summer. I want to share with you the benefits of buying now versus waiting until the interest rates drop. I want to share with you what are the benefits of doing, of selling your home now versus waiting until 2026. So the point of the objection handler is nothing more. Again, this is a universal objection handler. Is I want to share with you what are the benefits, because a good percentage of the time they go, oh, okay, yeah. Or in some cases, well, I don't understand. What would be the benefit of that? Well, last but not least is where we close. And it's always going to start with, that is exactly why we need to meet. Is it best for us to do this today at 5 or tomorrow at 5? And all you have to do, this is universal close, okay? It's not the perfect, it's going to end all. But if there is one objection handler I want you to work on, it's going to be this one. Because this one is going to handle a large percentage of the time. And this is going to put you now in a position where you can at least move the conversation forward. Because in that, we go through, you definitely want to wait until summer. I totally understand where you're coming from. That's definitely an option. However, what I want to share with you is the benefits of doing it now versus waiting until summer. Well, what's the benefit? That's exactly why we need to get together. I'm going to be out in your neighborhood. I could stop on by tomorrow at 5 o'clock, or would you rather do it on Thursday at 5 o'clock? Okay. And at least it extends the conversation. And whether they say, well, can't you just tell me over the phone? Well, now it gives you the opportunity to move on to whatever that next is. Or, sure, absolutely. You know what? Let's go ahead and do Thursday at 5. Or, you know what? Let me talk to my wife. But in the end, it gives you the opportunity to at least set them up. Because now they go, well, let me talk it over with my wife. Good. Why don't you do that? Talk to your wife. I'll put you on the calendar at Thursday at 5 o'clock. And what I'll do is I'll call you tomorrow and we can confirm then. If at worst of the worst case, we need to move it, that's no problem. But I'll let you speak with your wife. I'll put it on my calendar here for Thursday at 5 o'clock. And right there, now I can determine whether I want to continue or just simply close right there. And what I mean by if I want to continue, I can go further in regards to the motivation. How does your wife feel about this? What would be the benefit of making the move for you and your wife? Okay. What is she most looking forward to? Exactly. Look forward to seeing you Thursday at 5 o'clock. You guys got that? Cool. Questions, comments, concerns, anything of anything. I'm going to keep giving some points, but I want to give everybody the opportunity to, of course, ask questions. All right. Let's talk about this one. Objections never change. They don't. There's probably one new one in the last 30 years, and that's how many social media followers do you have? Right? That's probably the only one. But everything else has been the same. So you want to be able to identify with what are the ones that you get most common, as I mentioned. And because of that, it gives you the opportunity to become stronger in your response. Also in your presentation, see where you get stuck at. See where you over talk. See where you're talking too much. Continue to dissect that. The biggest thing you can diffuse when doing a listing presentation is pre-qualifying. Top realtors, every single last millionaire agent that I've had the good fortune of helping get into the 7 figures understands this. When you have a listing presentation, how many of you want the answers to the test? How many of you guys want to know every single last thing that they're going to bring to the table when you go on a listing presentation? The way you find out is by doing a pre-qualification. And in that pre-qualification, before you go to the presentation, it gives you the opportunity to know the answers to the test in advance. Because in the pre-qualification, they're going to say things along the line of, well, tell me, what are the tactics that you use to sell my house? How much are you going to charge me? Well, I'm going to interview 3 other realtors besides yourself. And they give you all of these things. Well, now when you go to your presentation, you are prepared. You are equipped and you have it to your arsenal. And me, great agent, any great agent, they're going to sprinkle it in as part of the presentation. I know you have other options, and I totally get that. And see, here's the thing, is that there are 3 different options when it comes time to selling your home, and then you go through it. Okay. You just kind of sprinkle it in. There's 2 parts to this research. Part 1 is with what we call is fantasy land. That's where, unfortunately, a lot of other agents will go ahead and have these broken promises and or sellers that are wanting to wishfully overlist their home and they just simply don't sell. And then the second part to the research is what we call is reality. That's where professional real estate agents like myself, not only do we list, but we get homes sold for. We're going to have to determine tonight where you want to spend your time. Okay. So now what I've done is I've addressed a little bit, not in its entirety, but I've also addressed as far as the other agents are concerned. Okay. So any questions, anything else? I feel like I'm doing a lot of talking today. Okay. It always helps when we have a little bit of interaction. Hopefully it's good stuff for you guys though. All right, let's keep moving on. So the purpose of this class is I want you guys to continue to get used to the format. I want you guys to bring some objections. I want you to be able to handle those and showcase the ability of how to overcome them. Okay. So for those of you that are on Instagram, I'm going to encourage you. I know we got about 2-3 minutes left. If you have an objection, type it in and I'll show you how to handle it. If you guys are here on Zoom, go ahead and type it in and I'll show you guys how to handle it. And if you guys are over on Instagram, do the exact same thing. Okay. So let me start with those of you that are here on Zoom so I can just jump right in. But if you guys are here on Zoom, sorry. What objections are you guys getting? Nicole, Rajiv?
Usually, I get the objection. We want to think about that. Let us think it tonight with the whole family, and we will let you know in a couple of days. This
Good.
is
There we go. Okay. So this is common. They want to think it over. You're at the end of the presentation. And you can go in a couple of different directions. One of my personal favorites is, and we don't have to role play this. I'm just going to give you the my go-to. In that, I basically just say, Rajiv, I totally understand. It's a big decision, yet the decision must be made based upon with what you want, right? Well, yeah, of course. Well, let's think out loud. There's 3 of us. Let's think out loud. What is it that you're thinking about? Well, it's just kind of family policy. We want to think it over. We do the usual go-to. Well, now I'm going to go into a direction and I'm going to say, Rajiv, I want to take a minute to apologize to you and your wife. What? What do you mean? Well, usually by this time, sellers are asking me where they sign. And in that, you want to think it over. I'm a little confused because yesterday when you and I spoke about if what I say makes sense and you feel comfortable and confident, are you prepared to make a decision and hire me? You said yes. So in that, I'm curious, where did I lose you? Number one, was it the price? Number two, was it the terms? Number three, is it me? Now it gives me the opportunity to do with what I call as an isolation close. Well, the other agent said that they're going to charge me this. Let's talk about that. What did the other agent say? So the isolation close in this case gives me the opportunity to be able to address whatever that issue is on hand. So
Thank you.
you're welcome. And we're going to continue to break this down. For those of you guys that are doing this for the first time, again, thank you guys for participating and being here. I'm going to ask you guys to come join us over on Zoom. I'm going to wrap this thing up here in 2 minutes, but every month I want to be able to continue to grow the audience so that we can practice with what I just did with Rashid. Okay. And ideally, I'll bounce it back to you guys. Nicole, what are you getting right now?
So one of them was actually conditional. She had said I was doing open house. She had told me, yeah, we want to sell. It's like a 2.4. I don't know. That's what it's listed on Zillow. So I was excited about it, and it being conditional, I went and checked it out. She wasn't on title. So she was offering it up, and she wasn't even on title. So that was a conditional thing that was objectional. And then right now so I'm just starting with real estate, and I guess it's kind of just trial and error right now for me. I
Yeah.
have first time home buyers, and the objection was she wanted to know what they have to offer for first time home buyers. And what I did was a big boo. I sent her off like to a lender. I'm like, oh, the lender will give you all the nitty gritty of, what they have to offer. And I just felt like I could have been more informative since she came to me.
Okay.
She just got married.
Got it. So in that, very simple. If it has to do with financing, I don't want you handling that in a sense objection, but we can, of course, educate them a little bit further, subject to with what it is that they're wanting. What I would do is stay away from that part of it and simply ask them, what is it that you're wanting in your home? How soon are you wanting to be in your home? What is it that you're most looking forward to? Who's moving in with you? All of these questions get them all super duper excited because on the other side of that, we don't know if they're going to get qualified or not. And if they do
Right.
get qualified, awesome, good. Let's go ahead and move forward. If they don't get qualified, hey, Nicole, I'm super sorry. I heard that the unfortunate news was that we didn't get you qualified, but hey, let's stay in touch. So I don't want you to focus too much on the over dissecting of that, but I do want you to start to write down the objections that you're getting and you're getting on a consistent basis because that's going to help you. So make sure you're doing everything in your power to make connections with people, conversations, open house, the dialogues, knocking on doors, calling your database, making phone calls, whoever it is. But this is a contact sport. And the more of those conversations you have, the more opportunities it gives you to perfect your craft when it comes time to the language of sales. Okay. So
Right.
just keep pushing forward and you got to start writing this stuff down as to what it is that people are telling you so that you can overcome that. Okay. So
So, quick
everybody,
question, Robert. Do you have a specific dialer that you go through?
well, there's a couple of different ones that you can actually use. Some of the ones that I've used in the past are Red X, there's Vulcan, there's Arch, there's Mojo, and if you're wanting a robust system, there's my good friend Angels who owns a company called Enzo, Enzo. Okay, so any one of those are all perfectly fine. So, all right, let's go ahead
Thank
and
you.
wrap this up. You're welcome. Let's go ahead and I'll see you guys all tomorrow morning, 7:30. We're going to continue to working on Just Listed, Just Sold. Thank you for participating. If you are, again, in a position where you're looking for coaching and you're wanting more information about it, please don't hesitate to send me a DM. Number two, if you're wanting scripts, send me a DM. I'll get those over to you. Thank you for tuning in. You guys have a powerful, productive rest of your day. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.